So if you guys want to know the truth and what is going to happen in these last few days, go to the second book of Baruch. It's called Second Book, or if you just type in Second Book of Baruch PDF and go to this one, Yahweh's Sword. And you guys, this is what God himself literally talked to our brother, who's in a different realm right now, but our brother Baruch, and he was a man of God, one of God's servants, and Baruch talked to him, and Baruch was chosen to scribe down what our Father was saying, what will happen in the end days. And this used to be a part of our Bible, and then until they robbed it out of there, but that was all God's plan and God's purpose, So I know it might be hard to understand, but God knows what's best. He knows what he's doing. Okay. Look at this, you guys. This, I'm just going to go over a couple things. This, then, I have said to you that you may say to Jeremiah, which is, obviously, it says right here, this is Jeremiah. This was like the Hebrew way of saying it. And all those who are like you, that you may retire from the city. For your works are for this city like a firm pillar, and your prayers like a strong wall. So you guys pray. Jeremiah and Baruch, they prayed for others. They prayed for their brothers and sisters who are lost, who are saying rude and hateful things to him. They prayed for them. They interceded for them. And okay, let's go to, now I want to go to chapter 8, 8:1. Okay, oh man. Okay. Now the Malachim did as he commanded them, and when they had broken up the corners of the wall, a voice was heard from the midst of the great tabernacle after the wall had fallen, saying, Enter, enemies, and come, adversaries, because he who guarded the house has left it. And remember what God says to our prophets in the regular Bible that we have, the 66 canon. He says that I'm going to turn my face away from the world. He's going to show people what it's like when we turn away from God, and what the world is like without it, so that we can realize all the things that he has done for us, and so that we change our ways. Because most people, unless something bad happens to them, they don't learn, they don't listen, and that's just from the seed of evil, that Satan tempted Eve with, and it started all this. And so but you'll see all the consistencies of what it says in our regular 66 canon. And I, Baruch, went away, and it happened after these things that the army of the Chaldeans, this is the army of the north, right, that God talks about in our regular Bible. It says the army from the north is going to come down and bring judgment, entered and seized the houses and all that is around it, and they carried away the people into captivity and killed some of them. Matthew 24. After it says in Matthew 24 that some of you will go to jail and some of you will be killed, just like here. So you'll see the consistencies. And they put King Zedekiah in irons and sent him to the king of Babylon. This is one of God's servants and kings that is already here on the earth, but that's not the point. That's not what that's not what I wanted to show you. But this is 8. Now I wanted to go to 10. You, however, stay here in the okay. I spoke, Yahweh commanded me, he then sat in front of the door. Okay, never mind. I want to go to 15. 15:5. Sorry, guys. Okay. It is true that man would not have understood my judgment if he had not received the Torah, and if he were not instructed with understanding. Now, you guys, this is Baruch. This is after Moses. Okay, this isn't that long ago when this book was scribed, but God is talking. This book is specifically for our generation. It wasn't for any other time. And if you read the beginning of this from chapter 1, it'll tell you, like, where God tells Baruch, he's like, hey, this, what you're about to write, I'm just going to show you visions. This is like the equivalent to Revelation. So this stuff, none of this stuff has happened yet, and he was talking about the end days, and God makes that very clear in the beginning. But he says, if he had not received Torah, which is law, which is he's talking about his commandments, and if he were not instructed with understanding, but now because he trespassed, having understanding means that we know what God's commandments are, but we don't do them. That's what I'm trying to point out. He will be punished because he has understanding, and that's what the tribulation is for. You guys, if we're children of God, we need to keep the commandments and live by them, and they're not burdensome. They're actually very easy to follow. Now I want to go to 21. Therefore, behold, the days will come and the times will hasten more than the former. Okay, so you guys notice how time is speeding up? Like, literally, the people who take care of, who say how long a second is, that law literally changed. Like, time has literally hastened. And this is proof. Therefore the days will come when the times will hasten more than the former, and the periods will hasten more than those which are gone, and the years will pass more quickly than the present ones. See, it's talking about time speeding up. And I'll go to 21:6 now. You who reign with great thoughts over the powers which stand before you, and who rules with indignation the countless Kodesh beings, who are flame and fire, whom you created from the beginning. See, God's servants now, they're like flames of fire, and they are created from the beginning. The first will be last, and the last will be first. The first people who were created before the foundation of the earth, they will be in the last generation, right? God said first is last and last is first. And now I want to go to 22:4. Alright, this is important, you guys, to start learning, and I've just learned this just by reading this, but if we want to walk in truth, if we're really striving to turn back to God, if you're a true child of God, listen to this, you guys. This is pretty big, because when we, being made in God's image and likeness, and how we manifest things when we say them, it says, or he who promises to give a present to somebody, is it not theft unless it is fulfilled? What is this? What this is saying is that, you guys, if you say something, see it out. Like, if you say, like, hey, I'm going to give you a call, and you don't call them back, like, try not to do that, you guys, because like the way that gets scribed down by the angels, and then how we don't fulfill it. And yeah, you guys, I know things happen, and I know I'm using a very minuscule way of giving an example for this, but what I'm trying to say is, when you say something to somebody, like, do it, be a man of your word, say what you mean and mean what you say. I'm not saying that to make people feel bad. I'm saying that this so we all grow. We all become better people, 22:4. Okay, now 23:7. Now this is huge. For truly my Yeshua, my salvation, which comes, has drawn near, and is not as far away as before. He was talking about Yeshua, you guys. He was talking about Jesus Christ. And now it's going to happen. His salvation is going to happen again very soon. So he's talking about Yeshua, Mashiach. And, okay, 25:1. And Yahweh answered and said to me, you also will be preserved until that time, namely until that sign which Yahweh the Most High will bring forth about before the inhabitants of the earth at the end of days. Then will be the sign, when horror seizes the inhabitants of the earth, and they fall into many tribulations, and further they fall into great torments. And it will happen that they say in their thoughts of the great tribulations, Yahweh the Mighty One does not anymore remember the earth. It will happen when they lose hope, that the time will awake just at the last minute, you guys. Alright, and if you guys look at this, look at 27, and Yahweh said to him, that time will be divided into 12 parts, and each part has been preserved for that which it was appointed. So God is saying, this is how this is gonna, the beginning of the tribulations are gonna begin. And look at this, the consistencies, you guys, of the other scriptures. Commotions, slaughtering of the great, the fall of many into death. We're seeing this right now. So look what's after what we're going through right now. A multitude of ghosts and the appearances of demons. You guys, I know, I would be very careful, you guys, for one reason. I know that fallen angels and demons, that they're here inhabiting people already, but you guys, I would not put it I would say this, okay? I wouldn't throw it out of your mind and think that it's not possible that these demons can manifest in their ugly selves in the end times, or that won't happen. Don't throw that out of your head, because all things are possible, but don't throw that out of your head so that you're not shocked when, if we do see it, if that is how it happens. Because you could get into so much shock that you could have a heart attack. I don't want... That would be really bad. But anyway, yeah, you guys, I'll do one more, 28 too. For the measure and the calculation of that time will be 2 parts, weeks of 7 weeks. This is what we see in the book of Daniel. 70 times, and Jesus says, I'll forgive you 70 times 7. The book of Daniel says weeks of 7 weeks, and here it says weeks of 7 weeks. We'll do one more. We'll go to 32:1. How you, however, if you prepare your minds to sow into them the fruits of the Torah, the 10 Commandments, Yahweh shall protect you in the time in which Yahweh the Mighty One shall shake the entire creation. You guys heed this. You'll be very wise. You'll be very wise to do this. Prepare your minds to sow into them the fruit of the Torah. What he was saying was the commandments and the things that God says to do. You guys, if we follow those, we will be good to go. Love God with all your being, and love your neighbor as yourself. Love your enemies. And obey the 10 Commandments, you guys. Obey the Sabbath. Alright? I love you guys.